Welcome to a special edition of Secret Men's Business Podcast. Recently, I've been chatting to a good friend of mine who lives in Philadelphia in America, and he's been sending me audio messages on WhatsApp about some of the content on Secret Men's Business. And I found them really engaging. So, with his permission, I've asked him to actually let me use those voice messages as a podcast episode, a special podcast episode about his perception on the world. And I thought it would be helpful. So sit back and enjoy this very special audio message from a friend of mine in Philadelphia.
Good morning, Joe. Guillermo, hope everything is fine, and um, thank you so much for your messages, and thank you also for sending me the information about your podcast. Um, I've seen already four of your videos. Very interesting, very on point. I already shared one of them with a friend of ours who I think was actually talking about how he's feeling down, and this was the one that you speak about, staying in the moment, and he actually enjoyed it. So it just came at the right time, really, for him, and I find them to be super engaging. I think that I like how you present the topics. It's very welcoming. I mean, it's easy to follow you. I also like how you engage your guests and your questions. So it's super interesting and definitely resonates. For many reasons, I tell you that at times we gay people we sort of um, I think generally speaking, I don't think that everybody does that, but I think generally speaking, in this aim to be inclusive and in this aim to feel that we are equals, meaning equal to somebody who is straight, who is heterosexual, we at times not speak about the unique perspective of gay men or gay women or transsexual or transgender or and that is significant. And I think that I'm going to give you some feedback about that because I really like that subject, and I've thought about it um, for quite some time. But before I go any further, I just wanted to let you know that I'm leaving messages in the morning because because of the time difference, I don't know if you have turned off your notifications. So I have, which means that if you leave a message, I know that it's there, but it doesn't make any sound. So it doesn't wake you don't wake me up. And once again, the reason I'm doing this at this time is because I don't want to record a message and then accidentally wake you up. So, but I'm gonna stop right now and then I'll keep recording in a minute. Hey, it's me again. So, going back to your podcast, I found them super interesting, and without a doubt, those topics do resonate. Um, the idea of sexuality, the idea of goals, the idea of how we handle these or are handling this situation, the COVID-19 situation, the lockdown, the pandemic, all that. I think it's super interesting. I think on my end, what I wanted to share with you is that um, probably when I was turning, I like to say 49 or 50. I'm 54 now. I think that there was a shift on how I was shaping my mind, my perspective on things. And I think that I remember being in Stockholm, and Jose and I were in Stockholm with our friend Henrik, he's actually from Göteborg, which is on the west side of Sweden. But he lives in Stockholm, and he's been in Stockholm for the last, I like to say, 19 years. So no, we're just chatting and talking about life in general and how it's one of those conversations that will take you know different turns. But at some point, he said, I sometimes go to work and I see my colleagues, and they're straight, and they bring all this drama, they bring all these problems, and he didn't mean to minimize those problems. He just simply said, you know, that's not something that I think about. As a gay man, it's not something that I think about. It doesn't preoccupy me. And I have other things, and I make myself happy. And that doesn't come from a place of being selfish, but rather from a place of understanding that we gay men have a very, very different situation. We occupied a very different space in society, even if we don't want to admit it to ourselves. Um, so that stayed with me, that moment of like, like as a gay man, how do I see things? How do I experience things? Mind you, because I think I almost felt that I could not utter those words. Like I kind of always said to myself, no, you need to ensure that you're inclusive, and you try to see things from everyone's perspectives, and and unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you see things, because of the majority and because we're still a minority, that thought was at times from the perspective of the majority. Do you know what I mean? And for a minute there, I think I kind of lost that connection. And of course, I think um, we, Jose and I, we at the time we hardly ever would go to gay bars. And mind you, I think in a city like Philadelphia, you don't really have to go to gay bars because it's a very gay city. It's super, super gay. So really, you go to a restaurant, you go to I don't know, anywhere really. We're everywhere. But I kind of, for a moment, and forgive my choice of words because I don't really know how to articulate it right now, but I think that I almost forgot to say, you know what, like I need to be with my community, and have that sense of, yes, I want to be in a safe space with other gay men, gay women, and have that moment. So I'll stop and I'll continue in a moment. So how do you navigate certain situations? The loss of a parent, loss of friends, or moving to another city, or some form of disease, or a divorce, or finding a new partner, or getting married, and or also aging. The idea that our bodies are changing, the way that we look is a different story. How do we navigate that? And so I turn inwards in the sense of finding or fine tuning those things that made me happy, that always made me happy, and becoming more honest with those things. Namely, uh, running. Running for me has been a great um, sense of joy, not just because I love, exercising and whatnot, but also because I actually recognize that I'm an introvert. I need silence. I need to get away. I need to sort of just be by myself. I need trees. I need, the birds, etc. I just need that peace and quiet. And when I run without distractions. So I don't put on any music or anything like that. I just go out and run, and I embrace everything around me. The sounds of the cars, or the sounds of the other runners, or people in their bicycles, and I you sort of start paying attention to your surroundings and understanding that you're part of something, right? It was also been very beneficial in terms of how I solve problems. For instance, if I know I'm stuck, something happened at work and I'm trying to solve some type of issue of something that is challenging, I go out for a run, and of course, it's a commonplace. I mean, every runner will say that, that the exercise, the act of breathing, the act of motion sort of activates in your brain and allows you to think in a much more clear fashion. But going back to the issue of gay men, um, or being a gay man, what I did was I kind of I kind of started paying more attention to my father, because as I age, I am literally a photocopy of my father. Like, it just, the way that I look, even the things that I wear. Like, I find myself choosing certain things. Like, oh my God, I'm just my dad. I look like my dad. I have a similar body type as my dad. So I started thinking, wow, what was my dad doing when he was in his 50s? And that kind of gave me also a sense of direction, of like, yeah, that's just kind of like how I see my life, or I want my life to be. And I sort of embraced these fantastic things that my dad had that I would not have appreciated, or I did not appreciate when I was younger. Um, in in doing so, and not just the way in which I've embraced the way that I look at my age, because I look at him, right? But also the things that he did, like how did my father use his time, And I remember my father he was a reader. He was a person who was always reading something. And he at times was very quiet. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just like my dad. I read a lot. I need my time to be quiet. My dad was something that I've learned to do, which I didn't do before. He was very gregarious, a very social person. No, I'm not talking about going to parties or things like that. It was an individual who was engaged. He would visit his friends. He would visit his acquaintances. Uh, not because there was the need to be entertained, but rather because there was a need to be connected and to feel part of the community, and that kind of like thing about checking on each other, like, yeah, is everything okay? And you sort of share something, and if you can always help someone. And I remember him using words like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And if you need anything, just let me know, and that kind of thing. And I know it's such a social uh, thing to say, right? Sure, if you need anything, just let me know. But he meant it. And I I really liked that. I really liked how he did those things, and I now see myself doing that here in Philadelphia. We have, of course, we have only a very few close friends. We don't have a lot of like super close friends, but we do have a community. We do have a lot of acquaintances, and we check on each other. And that's something that I've learned to love, primarily because I saw my father doing that, and I didn't understand that. And also understanding my gay community, um, there was a time that we didn't have a lot of gay friends, and now it's the total opposite. Like, nearly every friend that we have is gay. And again, I'm not trying to exclude people. I'm not trying to say, hey, if you're not gay, you're not going to be my friend. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that there's I needed that that I admit it to you. I needed that. that we didn't have. Anyway, so I don't want to bore you to death, so I think that's enough for today. I will continue on this because I really, really like this topic, and I find myself in a very good emotional, uh, physical space. Um, I think that this from that conversation that I had with Henrik years ago. Um, up till now, like I've created so many good habits that make me really happy, you know. And I have to tell you right now, I'm preparing for my retirement, which I'm 54, so I should retire within, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. I'm already thinking, great. So I'm going to do other things once I finish, my this journey, right, with that I have with the program that I manage. But anyway, so have a nice day, and once again, thank you so much for sending me the information about your podcasts. They're super cool. I will continue. I haven't seen all of them, obviously, and yeah. Okay, so big kiss, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.